Hello, friends. Daniel Kwame Pobi here. It's exciting for me, and it's an honor to welcome you to HiCAD's Leadership 360. This is where we discuss everything leadership, how to grow your leadership, and how to build yourself. If this is your first time watching our video, I want to encourage you, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Daniel Pobi. Also join our community on Facebook, the HiCAD community, and let's grow our leadership together. This episode, we are looking at an exciting topic for me. It is on emotional intelligence. Is it rival to reasoning? Emotional intelligence, is it rival to reasoning? That is what we want to look at. And in this episode, we'll be looking at the old civilization that we have had, the kind of thinking, and I put this in quotes, the kind of thinking that has told us that emotion is rival to intelligence. And we'll also be looking at what at all is emotion. We will look at the emotional self-awareness. We'll talk about why a high emotional intelligence is critical for you. And then we will end with that big announcement. You want to just stick and stay with us and be part of what is coming from HiCAD and the HiCAD team. For close to 10 years, I have been teaching, and I've been reaching out to thousands and thousands of people on our digital platforms, and reaching out to people in our seminars, in our courses and trainings, and also speaking at different conferences. And really, my focus has been in assisting business executives, leaders in general, wherever they are, to really discover their sense of purpose, and also to see how do they grow and develop their leadership ability. And as I engage in these things, and I do a lot of these teachings, one of the topics that most of you will recognize as my signature teaching is on emotional intelligence. Many of you know me for that particular topic, and I've been doing that for some time now. Now, this year in particular, I've had the privilege of teaching emotional intelligence to different groups, and I want to mention the session that I had this year with Nurses and Midwives Association in Accra, and also two engineering companies that are also based in Accra, Exact Engineering and Echelon Engineering. And as I do these trainings for companies and run courses on these, very clear to me that, look, we need to develop our emotional intelligence. We need to get the high emotional intelligence quotient so that we will be able to occupy the place that we want to occupy. Friends, point is this, that emotion could motivate productive outcomes when properly directed. If you properly direct your emotions, you can get productive outcomes out of whatever it is that you do. Now, in our world, there is enough evidence out there that the mass suppression of emotion throughout the civilized world has stifled our growth and limited us, leading us on a path of what I would want to call emotional ignorance. Many of us are ignorant when it comes to our emotions, and we have tried to, as it were, civilize ourselves in this way, trying very hard to deny our true animal nature, our emotional nature. We have suppressed this, and whatever our motivation is, friends, I think that it has nothing to do with any evil nature or any evil intention, but we've done this only because, see, we've had this wrong idea altogether about the nature of emotion and the important function that our emotions play in our lives as individuals. As we move on in life, there is a role that emotions are supposed to play, and we downplay that. We are kind of ignorant of this. So you will find that the earlier theories of emotion or intelligence, taught that if you are being emotional, then you are not being logical, as if it is rival to reasoning. And sometimes you hear people say, oh, don't be emotional about this, don't be sentimental about it, don't take this thing personal. And when they say that, all that they are trying to say is you are not being reasonable, you are not being objective, you are allowing your emotions and your sentiments to cloud your reasoning. And that is supposed to suggest that you cannot reason with your emotion. And here we're talking about emotional intelligence, the intelligence that comes from our emotions, and whether it is rival to reasoning and intelligence. And in 1983, one gentleman, Wayne Leon Payne, introduced the concept of emotional intelligence, and he did that in his doctoral thesis. He did a thesis, and the topic was this: a study of emotion, developing emotional intelligence, self-integration relating to fear, pain, and desire. Now, this is what Wayne studied, and in this theoretical work and philosophical framework, what he sought to put out there is to develop that understanding and philosophical framework that sheds light on the nature and characteristics of emotion and emotional intelligence, which previously had been ignored in the literature. So he presented evidence upon evidence to suggest that the mass suppression of emotion throughout the world has stifled our growth emotionally, leading to what I said earlier, emotional ignorance. So he posited that many of the problems that we've had in society across the world and a direct result of emotional ignorance or lack of emotional intelligence. And he mentioned things like depression, addiction, the fact that people get addicted to a lot of things. I know a friend who is addicted to a certain kind of biscuit when the person is down emotionally, all right? So when there's addiction, illness, and conflict, violence, war, and he says that these things are out there because of our lack of emotional intelligence. That low emotional intelligence or ignorance of our emotions and how they play and how they function in our lives has led a lot of us into these things. People are depressed. And I heard someone speak last night about the things that are plaguing us, depression, and he also talks about suppression, he talked about frustration, and a lot of these things. You need emotional intelligence to maintain that balance and to keep your life in that harmony that you're supposed to have. So friends, the point is this, that we often suppress our emotions because we've had the wrong idea. We've thought that look, the nature of emotion and what it plays, we have ignored and downplayed that aspect, and so we are not able to harness our emotional capacities very well as human beings. Now, what is emotion? What is emotion? Emotion refers to the mental and physiological states that we call feelings. So it's mental, it's at the level of the mind, and it's physiological. Sometimes what you are thinking has a bearing on how your body feels, and sometimes how your body is feeling at the moment also has a bearing on your mental state, okay? So emotion refers to the mental and physiological state that we call feeling, and it's often very hard for a lot of us to put a name to what we are experiencing and what is going on inside of us. Many of us, especially in Ghana, I've lived in Ghana almost all my life, traveled a few times, but in Ghana, when you ask people about what they feel, in one of my trainings, I asked someone, he says one of the things he feels, and when his girlfriend is coming to visit, and I asked him, so how do you feel when you see her approaching? And it was a difficulty describing the feeling. If you succeed at something, if you achieve something, if you do something that is what you set yourself to achieve, how do you feel? And sometimes you ask someone, how are you? And we say, I'm fine. Are you okay? They say, yes, I'm okay. And we are not able to describe the different emotions. What is the difference between being happy, being excited, being elated? These are emotions. And are you able to tell when you're excited and differentiate that from when you're elated, or when you're happy, when you are joyful? What about being sad? What about being sorrowful? Okay, what about being distressed? And what about being depressed? How are you able to tell the difference in these? But that has to do with emotional intelligence, your ability to put a name to it. And friends, the truth is that oftentimes it's likely that our brain is processing more than one emotion or one reaction to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Take for an example, someone that is informed of the death or passing of a relative, say the mother, and the person is told of the passing of the mother, and the person starts laughing. Okay, it's a mix of emotion. You may think that, this person wanted the mother dead, but that doesn't mean so. It's a combination of a lot of emotions that have just overwhelmed the person, and the only way of expressing it is coming out in that laughter. So in a given time, the point I'm making is that we have a lot of emotions going on inside of us. Now, let me talk about emotional self-awareness. Now, if you're able to notice the feelings that you have, the emotions that you have, if you're able to notice the gut level instincts and reactions that go on inside of you, and especially if you are able to name them, not just notice, but be able to tell that this is what I feel at this particular time. Like, how do you feel in the morning? How do you feel late morning? How do you feel before breakfast? How do you feel during breakfast and after breakfast, before lunch? All these are times that you need to be able to tell how you feel vis-a-vis the things that go on in your environment, and being able to connect these things and these emotions and feelings to their source. What is the source? For instance, before lunch, you have a certain feeling. They say that a hungry man is an angry man. A hungry man is an angry man. What is the point there? That when one is physiologically hungry, it creates a certain feeling, a certain emotion of anger. That's the point here. So if you're able to recognize the source and say that, I'm a bit jittery, or I'm a bit more agitated now, or I feel a bit more angrier than normal because I'm hungry. So when I sense so, when I feel so, then I know that this is the issue, and then I begin to find solution, get something to eat, and it puts you in a good state. I know people who, when they have to do something, especially when it's in the morning, they skip breakfast so they'll be able to deliver. And there are people also, they need to have breakfast to put them in a certain mood and a certain feeling and a certain emotion for them to be able to deliver on what it is that they are going to deliver. So recognizing these things and the source of them, and also recognizing their effect on your mind and the state of your mind and your body, it's what we are talking about as emotional self-awareness. You know yourself, you know what goes on inside you, and then you know what to do in order to, get some productive outcomes out of what it is that you are pursuing. So using your feelings as a valuable source of insight and information about yourself. You know yourself, and then also you are able to use that concerning other people, and then you are also able to use that to determine the impact on the situations and the environment that you are in. Then we are talking about you being emotionally intelligent, and especially specific to this one, we are talking about your emotional self-awareness. So the more adept you are at discerning the force that is shaping your feelings and is shaping your moods and is shaping your mental state, the more accurate you are at determining this, the greater your ability to manage your behavior. The more you are able to accurately determine what emotions are going on inside you, the more you have control over your behavior. And take this from me, many other things that people have done. People have gotten themselves doing things that they were not prepared to do, that they do them and they are surprised at themselves that I did this. And it's because you probably had not taken stock of your emotion and you were not able to accurately determine that this is what is going on inside of you. And so it had a bearing on your environment and your situation and on your behavior, and you lost control. There is something that we call emotional triggers, and it says that when you are triggered, you are less able to manage your behavior. So we are able, therefore, to choose a more constructive response based on what are the possibilities, instead of reacting to the moment based on habit and saying that, oh, this is how I've always done it, or this is how it's always been done. And it's not about what are the possibilities, what are the options that I have, and then I choose the best out of the situation, and I am able to do the best that I so desire and so wish to be able to do. So we are talking about you and your self-awareness, your emotional self-awareness, and being able to determine the emotion that you feel is a strength. Friends, it's a skill. It's an ability that must be developed. So that is why I want to talk about this emotional intelligence quotient. Is very critical. Some people call it EI, some people call it EQ, but it's about your emotional intelligence quotient, okay? Just like IQ is your intelligence quotient, your emotional intelligence quotient is also your EI or your EQ. It could be high, it could be low, but you want to develop it because it is critical. For instance, the Harvard Business Review has hailed emotional intelligence as what it calls a groundbreaking, paradigm-shattering idea. That's how Harvard Business Review described it. It's a groundbreaking, paradigm-shattering idea. One of the most influential business ideas of our time, of this period for some decades now, since the 80s, 90s, and now into the 2000s. Emotional intelligence is one of those ideas that is really shaping our world now. Today, it is critical for you that is watching this video and listening to me now, that a lot of companies, almost every company worldwide, they routinely look through the lens of your emotional intelligence. Your emotional intelligence when it comes to hiring, when it comes to recruitment, they are checking beyond your degree, beyond your first class and your second class and all the degree that you have, beyond your higher national diploma that you have, beyond your certificates that you have. They want to find out before they hire you into the organization, what is your level of emotional intelligence? Then when it comes also to promotion, they want to find out. This also has a bearing because they want to check if they promote you to the head of unit or department, how are you able to relate with others in your department? You know, there are people who excel very well and then they ask them to lead a team and then it's chaos because they have not developed those emotional intelligence skills to be able to relate very well with other people. And so before they promote you now, organizations, companies are looking at how capable are you? What are the abilities that you have? What are the skills that you have when it comes to your communication, when it comes to your team building, when it comes to your mentoring others, when it comes to you collaborating with other people and cooperating with other people? What about problem solving skills? What about visionary leadership and those kinds of things, inspirational leadership? How are you able to do these things? So before they promote you, they want to check. And increasingly, organizations are looking out for people's emotional intelligence level. And when it comes to developing employees and developing talent in organizations, these are the things that organizations are looking at. Your emotional intelligence is very, very critical. For instance, just to share one with you, Johnson & Johnson, they found that in divisions around the world, they looked at people in their organizations across the world, and they found that those identified as having high leadership potential were far stronger when it comes to EI competencies, when it comes to emotional intelligence competencies. They were far stronger than their less promising peers. That's what they found. Those were able to show and display strong leadership potential. They found them to have far stronger emotional intelligence competencies. Friends, this is very critical, and this is what brings me to the big announcement that we have. We're excited because, look, if you are thinking about developing your emotional intelligence skills, if you are thinking about developing your emotional intelligence competencies, maybe you're a business owner, you're an executive, you're a chief executive managing director, and you are looking at the members of your team and how do you help them develop and demonstrate emotional intelligence. I just told you about engineering companies and they running emotional intelligence for staff because it's critical. They will need that in sales. They will need that in customer service. They will need that in relating to their colleagues. All these things are very critical. And if you have that, we come to you. HiCard, it's put together this course just for you. And you want to look out for the registration details. We will get them to you out there very soon. Just watch this space and you will get to participate. Look, share this good news with your friends and let them prepare themselves that, look, HiCard is presenting again that emotional intelligence course. We call it the Proving Emotional Intelligence for Productivity. Yes, the Proving Emotional Intelligence for Productivity. Friends, it's been a good time with you. I believe it's been worth your while. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode and spending time with us on HiCard's Leadership 360 and being part of our HiCard community and also subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you've subscribed, click that bell button, get the notification when we upload our materials, and you are the first to be notified. If you've not subscribed yet, please do so. Invite your friends, share the video, invite people. Let's grow our leadership together. Until we meet again on the next episode, it is from us wishing you all the best in the last quarter of 2021, that you will do great and mighty things, that you will finish strong. Take care. Bye-bye.